Welcome back to another episode of Lit, looking into the text, where we get into authors and the books that they have written so that we can understand them on a different level. If you don't know, my name is Stephanie Thomas. I am the owner and founder of the Right Edits LLC, which is an editing and publishing and writing company. I won't hold you any longer. Let's get right into our author for this episode, Nikki Nicole. Hello, Nikki.
How you doing?
How you doing? Tell me about your latest book and why you wrote it.
Okay, so Mixed Emotions actually released on March 30th. It's a collection of short stories. The reason why I wrote this book because I actually started in 2010, but life started happening. So I put it down. So I actually went through my computer and found some things that I wrote. So I said, I'm gonna try it again. So I wrote Mixed Emotions.
Okay. So what are some things in life that happen? I believe that some people have shared experiences. I believe that there are shared experiences, but the situations may be a little different, but the emotions that come with it are the same. So tell us some of these life events, if you don't mind, that other people may relate to that caused you to be a little delayed, but you persevered through.
Well, when I was young, I went through a period of time where I had self-extinguishment. I had suicidal thoughts, depression. I actually had 2 children. I had my son when I was actually 16. So for a while, I was mainly focused on being a parent, trying to work and try to have a better life for them. So it kind of slowed me down just a little bit. We just delayed.
Okay.
And my father died in the same period of time too. Like right before I gave birth to my son, my father died when I was 15. So went through a period of time of those issues.
Okay, delayed but not denied, huh?
There it is.
All right. So how long, I think you may have already answered this question, how long did it take to write this book?
Not long at all, actually. When I found the writings, I had maybe about 5 short stories written already. So I had to write 5 more. So it probably didn't take 30 days for me to write it. So when I finished it, when I got down to the last story, it seemed like it took eternity for me to finish the last story in that book. But I finally finished it and edited the format and got it going.
Okay, so I know that one of the big things with writers is that they tell you this, like, don't focus on multiple things at one time. And I see here in my notes that you had other projects going on as well. So what kind of advice could you give to a writer that has multiple projects going on and can't seem to finish one?
Well, you're right, because I was actually working on Mixed Emotions. Camouflage was finished, but I had to still work on cover design for it, do the editing and everything for that. Plus, I was also working on Family Ties sequel that's coming out next in June, and everything else behind that. Because for Poet's Mind, I was working on probably about 5 or 6 things at one time. So my advice is to focus on one at a time. I mean, it's okay to plan ahead, but at least you know what you're gonna do next. But don't actually full speed work on all at the same time, because then you're gonna get delayed. It's gonna be issues somewhere down the road.
Okay, can you give us some real juicy details? Can you describe the moment when you decided to write a book? Maybe it's the book Mixed Emotions, or it's just one of your other books, because yeah, she does have multiple books. Can you describe one of those moments?
Well, I like to talk about this experience when I first wrote my first book. It's a collection of poetry, Family Ties. Family Ties is a book of poetry about family. A lot of feelings that was tucked away, good or bad, about family. It's in that book, but The reason why I wrote Family Ties is my mom I asked me to write a poem for her when she passed away. So I told her, I said, well, Mom, I can't write that poem when you're gone. I'm going to be too emotional to write this poem. So I'm going to try to write it now. So the name of the poem, that poem was The Day the Earth Stood Still. I sent it to her. And she was like, Nikki, it's time. It's time for you to do something with your writings. It's time for you to put this in book format. It's time for you to do what you have to do, step out on faith. So when she said that night, I went to write. And I put that book together and published it.
That's beautiful. That gets into my next question, which you probably have already answered here, is in what ways do family and friends help you? Like, how can they help an author? We already know that, look, your mom was like, hey, let's go. And you were like, all right. And you didn't hesitate. So can you give us more details on how family and friends can help authors and have helped you?
Well, I can say that my siblings, once they realized that every book that I publish, they buy books. They buy multiple books for me to sell. They'll buy anywhere from 20 to 30 copies just so I can sell. Because I do this full time. So my mom, she buys books. My son was buying books every single week for me to sell. So I have a big support system with them. My mother-in-law helps me ship and wrap the books. My spouse helps me buy books. So it's everybody's putting a hand in. And I have this one friend that I've known since 7th grade. She has all of my books. She's bought every single book I put out. So I do have a good support team. It might be small, but they're there for me.
Okay, so that sounds like some advice to me, okay, for anyone watching or listening, which leads to my next question. What advice would you give to other authors who are starting out? It seems as though a network, even if it's just family and friends, to do what they do for you would be some really good advice at starting out. Is there any other type of advice that you could give to authors that are starting out?
Well, I can see growth from my first book to my second to my third to my fourth. The reason why I say that, over the time period, I did a lot of research as I was going. And I realized when I got to the cover for Mixed Emotions, and this is my third book, that the cover of the book matters. So before you put out a book or publish a book, you need to focus on that cover and make sure that it's appealing enough for people to pick it up and read it. You have to think about yourself as a consumer too. When you go into a store and you look at something, what is going to grab you to buy something? So to me, the cover design is the most important thing for an author. So take a lot of time on that because the manuscript is not to take a while. If you get the right cover design, they will buy.
Okay. So, I am an editor, so, it's just like there are a lot of books around here with really good covers, and then you open them, it's like, ah!
But they bought it.
But the money's been paid. You are right. Okay. So you've already answered, does your family support your career? They're very supportive. I've never heard of anything like it. So I'm going to go and talk to my family and say, hey, you need to watch this video and take some notes. Okay. There's another question. If you could go back in time, and it's just a personal question, if you could go back in time and give yourself some advice, what would that be? And would you have listened?
My young self was hard-headed. I had a lot of people that had wisdom, a lot of people that had good advice. My mother, my siblings, people that were church members, family, friends. But my thing is, I was hard-headed because I felt like, hey, I'm gonna do this my way. So I would take a shortcut instead and go. Thought it was a shortcut. I thought it was a shortcut, but it was a long way around. I took the dirt road instead. So my advice to my younger self is to slow down, listen to someone. And now I took the advice, but I still did what I wanted. So back then I should have just listened, taken the advice, and then acted. And I would have listened. I definitely would have.
I definitely understand about being hard-headed. Look, I remember my brother. My brother told me, I think I was maybe like 15 or 16. He's like, you don't know anything about life. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm getting this understanding of this marketing plan that you have. You have a very supportive network. You're very passionate about what you do. What do you hope to accomplish out of this book, Mixed Emotions, and other books that you may have written?
Well, when I first published Family Ties, what I was trying to do then was just to let people know I'm writing. But I've given away so many copies to people because I just want to share my story. It's not necessarily about me getting the money or the income from it. It's me telling my story because Family Ties is a collection of portion. Portion of My Soul is a collection of portion. It's about my life. It's like about a lot of traumatic situations that happened in my life, a lot of feelings that I kept tucked away for so long. So it's mainly about me just getting my story out there and letting people know that there is someone out there that's going through something similar to you. And maybe, something that I'm saying will help somebody. My mom tell me all the time, when are you gonna try to get paid for something? Because I speak, I don't have to get paid to speak. I just want to tell my story. I said, Mama, all that will come in time. Right now, I just want people to know who I am, and I want people to know my story. So I just hope to accomplish, trying to get my story out there. That's it, really. I mean, because I've actually put Portrait of My Soul and Family Ties in four high schools, 3 libraries, a museum, a gift shop, and I put Portrait of My Soul by itself in a women's shelter because of it's dealing with a lot of traumatic situations like suicide, depression. So hopefully it will help those women that's in shelter have some kind of hope.
Okay, so if there are authors out there who want to know how you're getting your books in these places, because nowadays they publish on KDP Amazon, and that's just it. They're only doing these digital storefronts. So what type of advice could you give to help authors get their books out in other places?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I was thinking it was gonna be harder than what it was, but it wasn't. Um, One thing about me is I may hear what you're saying to me and I may listen to what you're saying because a lot of people say it's gonna be hard for you to get in the library. It's gonna be hard for you to get in high school. So at first I wasn't gonna try, but you know what I did? I actually went to the library. I talked to someone and I asked them, I said, hey, I published a book. Can I put it in your library? Sure. It's what they said to me. And I was like, sure. So I filled out a piece of paperwork with my, name of the book on it, my name and everything. Watched it be put on display. It was that easy. I went and talked to the librarian at the media centers in high schools and got a pop-up speech. I had to speak at my alma mater, just from being there to donate. I donated the books. Now my hometown actually bought some books from me for the library there. So I mean, you sometimes you have to lose to get in places that you want to be. And to me, I don't think I lost. I think I gained because they're actually places, media centers all over, South Carolina, North Carolina, and being the fact that I actually donated my copies to one of the high schools here in North Carolina, I'm about to be speaking at my second event. So it opened up more doors for me because I stepped out on faith and just said, hey, would you like a copy of my book to go in your media center? They said, sure. So it's about getting out there and just networking with people and talking to them and letting them know how passionate you are about what you're doing. You have to be passionate about anything that you do if you want to go somewhere in life. So that's just it.
Ooh, message. I want to snap my fingers for that. All right. So we are coming up to the end of our interview. And my very last question for you before you say, which allows you to say whatever else you want to say to those that are watching. What would you like your readers to know about you?
That's, you know what, it's just funny. That question has always been a hard question. I actually called my niece a couple of days ago about that question. I told her that you asked me that question. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to answer that question. I said, what would you say if somebody asked you that question about what do you want people to know about you? She said, Auntie, you're nice, you're smart, you're very intelligent, you're passionate about anything that you do. And as far as my journey, I'm not gonna stop until I get to the top. I'm very determined, I'm very focused, and I just feel like I'm just an all around good person once someone actually wants to know me. I'm very good hearted.
Thank you so much, Nikki Nicole, for joining me for an episode of Looking Into the Text, or Lit, because it's lit, okay? Where we get to dive into the lives of the author because we want to know about who writes these books, right? Join us for another episode, and do not forget to purchase her books, okay? And share this video.